Before I get this lesson started, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Rakakadash, and I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned this truth from, and a shalom to the hopefully elect and 144,000 chosen teaching this new song, this truth, to the four corners of the earth, looking for the elect and bidding them to the marriage. I want to tap in a little bit on the whole, I guess the Sakari, the headship of Sakari debacle with the Apostle Paul, and just the hypocrisy that so many other elders and apostles and other captains and bishops that or officers, I should say, are bringing out in GMS. And I have a small testimony to add to the already many skilled and mature and spiritual lessons and corrections that I've heard. The elder Yasharamba out of Dallas, the brother out of the New Jersey camp, Saints in New Jersey. I believe the captain out of, I believe he's the head out of the Vegas camp. I learn a lot from him. I like to listen to his lessons. All of these men, including so many more, have weighed in on this. Of course, it's always the season. It's always the season, precept upon precept, orderly spiritual correction concerning Sakari whenever they go off, man. I am going on about 4 years in this truth. I'm still kind of young. My first year, I didn't even know who GMS was. I was wandering, listening, learning. I knew I was awakened. I had heard a lesson on Deuteronomy 28 randomly. Well, it wasn't randomly. It was sovereign. It was supposed to happen. I believe it was a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. I'm on YouTube. I was on YouTube a lot back then. When I was one of those Christians that believed in the Nephilim and all that kind of stuff. So I was always listening to stories of people. And a lesson came on out of Deuteronomy 28, man. And it was time. Ezekiel 36, Ezekiel 37. You shall hear a voice that this is the way to walk ye in it. And that's what began to happen. And as this lesson was breaking down Deuteronomy 28, just, man, my spirit was leaping inside of me. And I was like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense. But I had so many questions because I was completely illiterate when it came to the precepts and the prophecies and the order of prophecies. I didn't know I was a Christian. So I had a bunch of Christian doctrine and American, just patriotism, all the stuff that we're indoctrinated in. So over time I began to read, and I was led by the Spirit to study every time a king in Israel began to worship Baal or the Queen of Heaven. And my heart was broken because I saw, oh my gosh, just the amount of times that we went off when it came to being an adulterous, whorish type wife when it came to Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi. I didn't know his name yet. I didn't know Yahawashi's name yet. I was still going to a Christian church while all this was happening to me. Fast forwarding about a year into it, I'm listening to Sakari. I'm listening to Wi-Fi. I'm listening to all these camps. And I think it was around the month of April or May, when Elder Yasharamba from South Carolina came up into my algorithms, and from Elder Manat Dazatba, I'm sorry, from South Carolina came up into my algorithms. From him, I started listening to Elder Yasharamba, and slowly but surely, GMS began to just do surgery on me. But at the time, I couldn't find a GMS camp. And I remember Elder Manat Dazatba saying that GMS wasn't taking any new members, and he listed a whole number of wise reasons why it made sense. But I was like, man, I want to at least go find out where you guys were at. And nobody was filming their lessons by any street corners or monuments that I could know in Atlanta. So I was like, man, I can't find GMS. So I was able to find Sakari. And I was listening to Sakari at the time. And so I didn't know the difference in camps yet. Elder Manat Dazatba was mentioning it, but it wasn't taking that revelation it didn't make sense to me just yet. I reached out through email to Deacon Akar, or whatever his name is, and he responded back to me. Hassad text messaged me and gave me the address and said, Deacon said you were reaching out to him. I said, yes. I had mentioned that I'd been listening to Alazar and was blown away at the teaching. And so Deacon had Hassad contact me. Hassad contacted me and gave me the address to their Atlanta base. And so I was front and center. I was so new inside their classroom. The way they have it set up, on the side is where all the new guys are supposed to sit, and directly in front of Hassad and Alazar, when they teach, is where the actual members of Sakari sit. And I was so new that I was sitting kind of like in the front on that side before somebody finally told me, you're not supposed to sit here, you're supposed to sit here. But there was one day when Alazar was teaching, and he was teaching from, so look at this really quick. Proverbs 16:5. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination unto Yahawah b'Hashem Yahawashi. And I'm just going to stop it there. That's what this is all about. So I pulled up some precepts, but I believe it was this precept. He was teaching from this one. This is Revelations 14. Starting at 14, I'm going to read. And I looked up, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud, and we know the cloud is a chariot, and what this world, what Esau calls a UFO or a UAP. So Yahawashi is standing on this cloud, and one that looked like unto the Son of Man. So that's Yahawashi having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, so he's coming from Yahawah, his father, as a messenger, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud. So that's Yahawashi. Yahawashi is waiting for instruction from his father, because he's an honorable firstborn son who is heir to the throne of King David. I didn't understand all this, but I'm saying that for a reason. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And it was here when Alazar stopped reading, and he looked up, and he said this, and in a really monotone, a kind of, just his tone of voice was off too. He said, "This is proof that Yahawashi doesn't know everything." And it was the way he said it, and why he said it. And in my infancy, I'm still a babe now, but I was not even in diapers yet. I just woke up, and I'm even as an Israelite waking up looking for Yahawashi. I don't even know his name is Yahawashi yet. I'm calling on multiple different names. I'm using the J name, the Jebus name. I'm using the Yeshua name, the Yahusha name. I'm groveling. I'm groping for him. Where are you? What is your real name? I need to know. And when he said, when Alazar said that this is proof that Yahawashi doesn't know everything, my stomach and my chest, the pain, the unusual pain that shot through my stomach and my chest, I was like, ugh, it was like getting kicked in the nuts, and I couldn't understand why. But I didn't have any precepts. I didn't have any understanding yet. I didn't know, man. But I was like, why did what he did? I had so much respect for this guy at the time because I was starstruck, man. This dude, wow, man, he knows so much. When you're new, it's him and Hassad, and they can just go through the precepts, and I'm learning this new information. It's amazing. Yet he just completely dishonored Yahawashi. He took a precept of Yahawashi's sonship, of the way that Yahawashi carries himself, how he moves with his father. This is something that we're all learning. We're all learning how Yahawashi moves with his father. We're all fatherless, man. We're not perfect when it comes to being sons. I haven't met a man yet. I haven't seen an example, because we've been destroyed in our own nation of men very, very awesomely and according to righteousness honoring their father. I'm learning how to, in a glimpseful type way with GMS, and honoring Yahawah b'Hashem Yahawashi and giving double honors to the elders and apostles. That's the glimpse, and I'm seeing how deep that goes now. And that's a form of honoring your father and your mother. When you honor your teachers, I'm learning that now. I didn't know that back then. But it hurt, you guys. And I didn't understand why, and I had no answer. And I was like, why is what he just said so painful? And what's wrong with it? And I was like uncomfortable, couldn't understand. Fast forward. Now, months go by. I'm still listening to GMS. I would mention you guys when I would go over there. And because of my newness, nobody would say anything. But I would notice the looks. And I didn't understand the looks because I was really genuinely excited about what I was hearing coming from GMS. And, you know, and there's people out there. I've seen people say, oh, my two favorite camps are GMS and Sakari. That's impossible. Once you really break into understanding, it's impossible for GMS and Sakari to be someone's favorite two camps. Because at one time it was with me. It was. I was like, yeah, I really love GMS and I really love Sakari. Well, that's a statement of ignorance. That's you're lacking some major understanding if you can say that with enjoyment and you're not purposely trying to be an asshole. You genuinely mean, yeah, these are my two favorites. Because the two camps are they're night and day, man. They are not the same and there is no agreement between these two groups, and there's so many reasons why. But I remember fast forwarding, I would mention GMS and people, they never said nothing about the grape. They didn't mention that. I think one brother was about to say something and then he stopped himself. And I just was like, I don't get it. So anyways, fast forward, the Passover thing took place. I was following GMS online with a recording of a Passover, and then that Passover thing took place, and I remember listening to the elder Yasharamba. I remember listening to everybody, but it was the elder Yasharamba, the beloved elder Yasharamba, and how mellow he is when he communicates, and how he's very funny, he's very thorough, he's very calm, and the wrath, the righteous indignation, the anger in Elder Yasharamba's voice when he began to express how upset he was with what they did concerning the Passover, man, that the Spirit ministered to me, because it was like, this is really how we are supposed to be when it comes to the holy things, to the Sabbaths, to the feast days, to those things that are sacred, man, the temple and the precepts, this whole walk, this heritage that is ours. And it really resonated with me. I went back, I think, one or two more times to Sakari after that, and it just wasn't the same. I couldn't listen. I could no longer listen to Alazar yell at Hassad, and I'm not into Hassad, but Hassad would be reading for Alazar, and then Alazar would start yelling at him because Hassad would be jumping the gun or trying to answer a precept, and it was just like I was seeing the guy for what he was. And so my heart began to lean more towards GMS and more towards GMS. And then it was just 100% GMS, but I couldn't find GMS. And then one day during a Thursday night camp, the elder was explaining to an Ephraimite, a Puerto Rican gentleman, where you guys have camp out. I found out, and now I stand on the side. But I said that to say this. Over time, I've grown in my understanding and to respond to what Elazar is saying. I'm going to add my little bit, what I've learned, but Elazar and Deacon Hakar are saying that Paul's letters are not authoritative. Well, that's what does the scripture say? And we're going to go there now. So look at this. So here we go. We have Yahawashi saying this in hold on, let me find it right here. Right here. This is Yahawashi speaking in John chapter 13:20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, semicolon. And he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. So you cannot accept or reject a sent one without accepting or rejecting the one who sent him, and without rejecting or accepting the one who sent him. So it's all or nothing. If you reject the prophet, you reject the one who sent him, and you reject the one who sent him. It goes up. It goes, okay, so what's the order? Let's find that really quick. Let's look at this. Let's find this. There's another precept. Man's head is Yahawashi. excuse me, I'm going to have to type in Jesus. I don't use that name anymore, but that's what man's head is, Jesus. Okay, so Corinthians, right? So this is the order. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach, Yahawashi, is the power or the Most High or Yahawah. So here you see that order being listed again. It goes man, Yahawashi, Yahawah. Okay, that's the order. Same thing here. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, because he's the head, right? And who's his head? His Father. And he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. So Yahawashi is acknowledging the headship of his Father over himself, but he's also displaying the headship he has over the one whom he sent. And the one whom he sent has authority, because that makes you an apostle, that makes you a prophet, that makes you a teacher or a preacher or an evangelist. But you got to be sent, right? And that's the qualifier. And if you reject that person sent, you reject the sender and you reject the head of the sender. With that said, let's go to the next precept. Now, this is Matthew 16. Now look what it says here. This is verse 13. I'm going to read all the way down. When Yahawashi came into the coast. Now this is the qualified Peter. And whatever Peter does after he's qualified, trip off of this. When Yahawashi came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And you have to understand reincarnation to even understand this next couple of exchanges, but that's another lesson on another time. And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. And that could only be true if reincarnation is a reality. And it is. And again, that's another story. That's another lesson another time. He saith unto them, but whom say, see, and he doesn't correct them. He doesn't say, oh, that's impossible. That's false doctrine. That's demonic doctrine. He doesn't say that. He just says, but who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter, trip off of this, you guys. And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Hamashiach, the Son of the living power, the Most High Yahawah. And Yahawashi answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say unto thee, now this is Yahawashi speaking directly at Peter, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So this is the qualifying. This tells you who Peter is. Peter is authenticated. He's authoritative. He's anointed. He is qualified by Yahawashi, who was sent by Yahawah, his Father. And then he's even spoken into or anointed by Yahawashi, and he's even given more authority. Based on his revelation, he's given keys. So that means from this point on, that same thing right here, this applies to Peter. John 13:20, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me. So if you deal correctly with Peter, you're dealing correctly with Yahawashi. And if you're dealing correctly with Yahawashi, you are dealing correctly with the one who sent Yahawashi, and that is the living power we know as the Most High and Yahawah. With all that said, now let's go here. Now look at Peter. I believe it's so now here's Peter. So this is, let me before I get into this one, I want to this is the one I want to do. So this is now Paul. So this is Paul later, after he's been knocked off his horse. He's operating in his ministry, and he's recounting a time, I believe it was in Acts, when he rebukes Peter for not sitting with the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, but he moved because he was scared of the circumcision. The Israelites who knew they were Israelites the whole time, he was afraid of what they were going to say, and Paul rebukes Peter, and Peter has all this authority. trip off of this now. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face. But why? But why did he do it? Because he was to be blamed. Why? For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. He was right. Peter was correct. He was in his correct position. He was fellowshipping with the Gentiles who are Israelite foreigners, and the blood of Yahawashi is for them, and salvation is for them. But when they were come, he withdrew because he was scared, because this was still in the beginning of the church, and we were still maturing in the doctrine. He withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, how would Paul know any of this? Woo! Revelation, right? I said to Peter before them all, if thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? Now let me ask you, did the ground open up and swallow Paul? Did an angel speak directly over Paul and hit him and strike him where his guts were eaten by worms? Did a lion or a bear come out and devour Paul? Was Paul stricken with blindness on any level? Did any form of judgment from the Most High or Yahawashi come down through an angel and rest upon Paul? Because Peter is a serious man of God. We just saw his credentials spoken by Yahawashi here in Matthew 16. You can't just speak to this kind of a person any kind of way, you guys. No one can open their mouth to someone like Peter. You cannot just be on his level and come at him any certain kind of way. You can't do that unless. And so what I'm doing is I'm qualifying not just Peter, but I'm qualifying Paul by using Paul with Peter, and how nothing happened here. It didn't happen, and nothing happened in Acts. And then now look at Peter. Look at the beauty. Look out. And the thing about Peter, he gets rebuked by Paul. He gets rebuked multiple times by Yahawashi. He gets slapped or smacked or smitten awake by an angel when he's in jail. And when he's on the mountain, Peter, when concerning Yahawashi, Elijah, and Moses, says, let's make 3 tabernacles. And the voice of the power, the Father, Yahawah, through an angel, sternly yet gently says, this is my son, hear ye him. Dude, Peter, out of everyone in the scriptures, he's one of the only men who has had this many public rebukes at such a high level, yet he never died. He didn't lose his faith. He wasn't cast out. He wasn't shunned. He didn't commit suicide. He got some of the highest level rebukes, but the types of rebukes that bring about perfection. It's staggeringly impressive, the level of rebukes, and from the types of persons that Peter received rebuke from, and he continued going from glory to glory to glory to glory. It's badass it's like, damn, man, like, whoo, if you're going to get a rebuke or a correction, you want those kind. You want the kind that bring about that perfection, not the kind that bring. So here's Peter in 2 Peter verses 3 and 15. And he's speaking about Paul, and account that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved. Look how he addresses the man that corrected him a few years back in the book of Acts. And that same man even uses that correction in a public example in the book of Galatians. And do you see any bitterness? Do you see any pride? Do you see any fucking self? I got to present myself. I'm the head apostle. Who was he to think he could correct me? No. What do you see? You see the beauty of who and what Peter is, man. The head apostle. Look, even as our beloved brother Paul. So now let's move that layer of revelation out the way. And now let's go back into the qualifications of Peter, who gets revelations from the Most High about Yahawashi, who Yahawashi says, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but the Spirit of my Father, which has given this to you, and I'm going to give you the keys of the kingdom. And then let's go back up another level where Yahawashi says, blessed, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. All of that is right here. Because that is who Peter still is. He's under and in all of this authority. And this is how he is speaking about Paul. He's not drunk. He's not blind. He's not intimidated. He's not in his flesh. He's an anointing. He is anointed. He's sent. And this is how he is speaking about Paul. Even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you. He just acknowledged the spirit of wisdom. Oh my God, man. He just acknowledged the spirit of wisdom that's on Paul. And he himself is a high-ranking an apostle, man. Come on, you guys. Next verse. This is verse 16. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood. This is an anointed apostle who gets revelation directly from Yahawah, and he is talking about the difficulty or the maturity level of the revelation and the wisdom that Paul writes in. He is acknowledging this man's gifts. And he is a high-ranking, qualified apostle. Let's start from the top again. Also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also with other scriptures unto their own destruction. Now let's break this bottom part down. What is Sakari known for saying? They question Paul's writings and the book of Hebrews. Well, what did Peter, the qualified apostle, the revelatory apostle, the apostle who walked with Yahawashi himself, and the apostle who received rebukes on so many levels, and he came through all of those rebukes with pure gold. Has Sakari ever received a rebuke? Have they ever submitted to correction? From my understanding, once I left that camp and came under more closely through YouTube to GMS, and then finally was given, I prayed, I was like, Yahawashi, how can I find GMS? If I have to drive up and down every downtown street in Atlanta to find them, I will, but can you help me? It was about 2 months of prayer. And then one of the I believe the head captain said the address to a brother on a Thursday night camp, and I was like, I'm going to be at camp Saturday, and I've been trying to go as much as I can ever since then. I learned through listening, through lessons, and it got apparent, because GMS, believe it or not, you guys, they don't sit around just gossiping about people. Everything they do is based on the salt and the light of the precepts, and they line you up. They're lining me up. They line everybody up with them precepts, man. And if you're willing to let them scoot you closer to them precepts, you're going to get scooted them precepts. Or if you don't receive correction, you're going to get cast out of their sight, man. That's what a real man of God is supposed to do. Look at this lower half of 2 Peter 3:16. In which are some things hard to be understood, which they, who's the they? This is Sakari. They that are unlearned. And see, everyone's impressed with their knowledge, but you guys, something's wrong though. You shouldn't be able to go through the precepts the way they do and come out with the conclusions that they do. Something's wrong. Something is seriously kinked in those guys, because yes, they can flow, they can connect precepts, but they're lacking. They don't have the sister. What's the sister? That's the understanding. Call wisdom thy mother, and understanding thy sister. They're not understanding some things, you guys. They have something has crept in where they have become so proud that they have to be the head top. And yet you see Peter, He's the head top apostle, but he was able to receive correction from Paul. And then later even acknowledge the wisdom of Paul. Do you have any idea how many times I've seen people in GMS do this very thing? I can't tell you how many times I've seen Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the beloved Elder Yasharamba, even the Elder, he doesn't like anyone calling him Elder, but Elder Tahar, Elder Apostle Tahar calls him Elder Manata Zatba, Elder Bro, out of respect, but he doesn't like that name. Even him, I've seen them time and time again go in on Nate, Sakari, bugged out doctrines, HOI, everybody. And then when they get it right in a lesson, they're right there encouraging and even sometimes, for a lack of better words, cheering on or at least acknowledging the correct playing of the harp of that portion of the new song. They will acknowledge the same guy, the same ministry. They were just slaying with the sword a week before because they went so severely off that when they do say something right, they'll be right there in the same. They'll be doing a lesson, commending that same person on getting it right in this one topic. I've seen it hundreds of times. I have never seen another camp do anything on this level. And I wasn't looking for it. I didn't even know that was something that I would ever know. I didn't understand any. You guys, I am a newly awakened Hebrew Israelite learning the new song. I do not have this down packed. I am learning as we go, and this has been my observation, and I've learned. I even at one time used to think GMS was too strict. Why? Because I had never seen an example of a true Hebrew Israelite walking in the light and being salt and light. I didn't know what that was. I thought it was Christian. No, it's based on these precepts and these prophecies, and you have to have the 100% doctrine. You have to, or at least believe it's available, and it is absolutely available. And there is a new song, and it's mentioned throughout the scriptures, and you can learn the words, which are learning these precepts, getting them written on the tablets of your heart. You can learn this stuff, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. That last part, that's Sakari, man. This is a prophecy. They are not superior to the precepts, man. Nobody is. And just like the upper half, you see the maturity, and I'm not trying to toot GMS's horn, but this is what I am. I'm a witness. I have to get this lesson up into the unicorn. It has to go up because I'm a witness, man. I've sat in Al-Azhar's class, and now I sit on the other side of GMS, and I watch GMS lessons, and I see what they do. They do this upper half. And what I mean by this upper half, Peter was rebuked publicly by Paul, and pride didn't get the best of him. In fact, I don't believe Peter had an ounce of pride in him, and he was a real man. He was ready to go toe to toe with the Roman army when Yahawashi was getting arrested. He could work that sword, yet at the same time he didn't act sideways with his brothers, man. Peter's a really amazing apostle, you guys, and yet here he is acknowledging and commending or speaking on the depth of Paul's wisdom, a man who rebuked him. I've never seen Sakari do anything like this. In fact, I think tonight they're going to do a lesson and justify themselves again and talk irresponsible, immature disrespect to the elders and apostles and everybody else in GMS, and they're going to bring destruction on themselves, just like it says in the scripture, man. I didn't want to do a lesson, or I wanted this to be more like a testimony. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you what I'm a witness of. I've seen that camp, and I've seen these camp. I've seen GMS, and I don't see this Peter-like example. A man being sent out by Yahawashi, and then Yahawashi being sent by Yahawah. And to really break that down, I don't believe Sakari even loves or admires or has a true reverence for Yahawashi. I think they just use his name to really like a stepping mat, like an impersonal stepping mat to get to Yahawah. That they don't sound like younger brothers that have an affection and a respect for their elder brother who is their king and their redeemer and their God. And that's what Yahawashi is. He's our older, we're related to him. It's family, but he has his position for a reason. The entire the volume of the book is him. It's Yahawah talking about Yahawashi, man. When he was Adam, when he was Malak Tazadok, when he was Isaac, when he comes back as, actually the angel that came back, and he comes back as one of the angels, at this time, according to life, I'll return, comes back as Isaac, goes back up, comes back down as Solomon. Then he's mentioned again by the angel in Ezra. I mean, he's all throughout the prophecies, but those are just the ones that stick out. And then, I mean, he's King Solomon, just dancing all over Song of Solomon, the way he's talking about wisdom. Man, how do you not worship Yahawashi with how amazing he is? How can you not publicly express some type of an affection, reverence, and respect for Yahawashi? He's the one coming back on the chariot to break down Esau, man. Alazar ain't going to do it. Hassad and Deacon Akkad, they're not going to do it. Yahawashi is going to do that with the host, man. Like, I don't get it, man. And I remember when he said, this is proof that Yahawashi doesn't know everything. It was the way he said it. My stomach, man, my chest. I was like, ow. It was different, you guys. It was different, bro. And it was like, ouch. And I didn't understand why does this hurt? And why did he say it like that? And I don't want that in my system. How come Yahawashi couldn't just be a firstborn son honoring? We don't understand how Yahawashi sees his father, man. Our own perception of quote unquote father is skewed because we live in such a destructive, destroyed world that where men and masculinity and fatherhood and sonship has been so destroyed, especially amongst the Israelites, that we don't get it, man. And Yahawashi displays this honor for his father, and his father does it back. Dude, Yahawah is Alashaja, man. He is the demon-like power, yet who is the daily delight of his soul? Yahawashi. You have this man of war. You have the man of war. He's got the Alahayim on his right, and he's got the Alahayim on his left, and they all scramble to carry out his decrees, man. They're all up there presenting, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? He's saying yes and no, no and yes, no, yes. And no one's getting butthurt, but they're all presenting these amazing presentations on both the right and left-hand side to bring about judgments and things in the earth. And at the top of all that is Yahawashi. They are all working to get Yahawashi on the throne of Dawadah. Man, I don't see how Sakari doesn't see. I don't understand how you can go through the precepts, and I'm still learning. And I can see this, man. And I'm not making the comparison. I'm not the comparison. I'm not the standard for their development. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, dude, I used to sit in your guys' class, man. And I will never sit. I can't even listen to Alazar talk anymore. I can't listen to Deacon Akkad, whatever his name is, Deacon. I can't, man. I can't. It's just, they're weird to me now. But I don't want to get all on a personal rant. And I salakia for that, you guys. I'm trying to be mature like everyone else that I've been hearing do this. But nah, man. Yahawashi qualifies Peter. Yahawah qualifies Yahawashi. And whatever Peter does is backed by Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, literally. And Peter speaks up on Paul and even receives correction from Paul, and nothing happens to Paul for a reason. The ground did not open up on Paul when Paul rebuked Peter, because Paul was not coming from some twisted area. Paul was defending the gospel, and Paul was one of those rebukes in Peter's life that brought about pure gold, because Peter got rebuked by Yahawashi multiple times. He never lost his position. He even got spoken over by the Most High. This is my beloved son. He got smote by the angel to wake up out of jail. He got rebuked by Paul, and he's still Peter. I don't know too many other apostles that got that many rebukes from that many men or positions of authority. And still, dude, it's the whole thing. It's a vast treasure chest of gems, of revelation. All of this, Peter, Paul, Yahawashi, Yahawah. There's so much in this. With that said, I hope this lesson is edifying. I want to give glory to Yahawah, by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Rakakadash. And I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, of whom I learned from, and a shalom to the hopeful elect, teaching this new song, playing with their harps to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect to the marriage. Shalom.